Right now, we are going to head to the WWJ live line, and we're joined by Dave Dulio, professor at Oakland University in the Center for Civic Engagement. How are you this evening? Appreciate your time.
I'm well, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
Okay, I'm going to go right off the bat and say this is probably one of the longest State of the Union speeches I've ever heard in my life. Am I wrong?
It was. I don't have the official time on it or a comparison table to give you, but it felt long. Usually they're about an hour, and this one was certainly longer than that.
And then when you add in the Republican response from Sarah Huckabee Sanders, it just felt like a very lengthy evening of all kinds of political messages. And what was the takeaway for you? What the big message that you got from the speech?
Well, from President Biden, this was the first speech of his 2024 reelection campaign. I think the line of the night that I took away from it that he used multiple times was, "Let's finish the job." That doesn't sound to me like somebody who's looking to move to the sidelines or retire. I think this was, like I said, the first of many 2024 speeches you're going to hear from Joe Biden.
If you're just joining me on WWJ on the phone this evening, Dave Dulio from Oakland University, professor there. We're talking about the State of the Union address from President Joe Biden this evening. What are your thoughts about his comments on how the inflation is cooling and the economy is roaring back?
Well, he's correct, but his point of reference is, I think it's fair to say, cherry-picked, right? I think, yes, inflation is lower than it was 6 months ago. Gas prices are lower than they were 6 months ago. But compared to the time when his presidency began, they both, and other things, are of course, in worse shape. So, those economic numbers are trending in the right direction. But they're still not in a place where I think many Americans would want them to be or are comfortable with.
One of the things that stood out to me, and I'm not sure if you caught this as well, when Biden was kind of going back and forth with the Republicans, and he mentioned unions. He was talking about like no compete clauses in unions. How does that differ from our current administration here in Michigan and their stance on the right to work laws?
Well, I did pick up on that line, Aaron, and I thought it was interesting where he said workers have a right to organize, and that's a fine opinion. No criticism there, no judgments there, but it is a nice juxtaposition compared to what. The policy debate that's going to take place here in Michigan over right to work and workers' rights to not join a union. I think it'll be a fascinating fascinating to watch it play out.
Do you feel that could put the relationship with our own governor, Gretchen Whitmer, kind of, I don't know, maybe a tense situation between her and President Joe Biden moving forward with Michigan's freedom to work situation?
Not at all. Not at all. I think they are strong allies, and that is going to continue throughout the next couple of years.
What is your opinion on his call? We knew that there would be calls for weapons bans, Dave, but what were your thoughts on his statement about assault weapons in general and the response from the floor?
I think it was expected. An assault weapons ban is something that Biden has experience with. It's something he has been calling for at least the last year, really throughout his entire presidency and the campaign too. In 2020, I think that was a predictable element of the speech, and I also think the GOP reaction was also predictable.
Have you, in your experience, ever witnessed a president kind of go back and forth with members of a political party during a State of the Union speech? I felt like this was something kind of new this evening.
I think there's an element here that is interesting because it's typical Biden, right? I mean, if there's any president that would do it, it would be Biden, who loves to deviate from the teleprompter and do some ad libs, and he certainly did that tonight throughout the speech. The back and forth with the Republicans, I think what you're referencing is a statement he made about some Republicans want to see Medicare and Medicaid sunset, and they objected to that. I think that back and forth actually reminded me more of the British House of Commons than the U.S. House of Representatives.
If you're just joining me on WWJ, Dave Dulio from Oakland University on the phone with me this evening. Before I let you go and head over to traffic, for those who are just skeptical of our current president, what were some of the positive takeaways from the State of the Union speech that you would point out to those who just don't want to hear any of it?
Well, I think he's battling a number of issues on that front, right? The folks that don't think he's doing a very good job as president, which is roughly about 55% of the public right now, and those who don't want to see him run for re-election, which is actually a sizable portion of the Democratic Party. I think he did an okay job of trying to sort of ratchet down their frustration with him. Really, anybody could find almost anything they liked in the litany of things, new programs that were out there. So he gave folks a lot to chew on, and I think a lot of folks will find at least one little nugget in the speech that he gave that they will like.
Fantastic. I really appreciate your time, as always. Dave Dulio from Oakland University, the professor there and also the director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University. Always a pleasure to get his insight on all things political.